So what should you do in preparing your child for the selection test now that they've been pushed back? Hi there, my name is Joycelyn Akufo. I'm the Managing Director of Geek School Tutoring. So today I want to do a follow-up video of the video that I put up not so long ago regarding the postponement of the grammar school test, the 11 plus, grammar school selection tests, and so on. First of all, I think it's welcome news. You know, I haven't spoken to a parent who's upset about it. Some of the students, mixed feelings and so on. Some are starting to think that it means, you know, they can just pause the work for the summer and then just pick up again in September. And hence my recording of this video. So what should you do in preparing your child for the selection test now that they've been pushed back? So before we carry on with this amazing video, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so that you will get notified every time a new Geek School video goes up. Enjoy! Now that most counties have pushed them back, or at least the counties in my area of the world. So just check on your on the websites, either for the schools or the local authorities. Check on their websites before you get too excited, because it might be a case where, you know, in your area, they might not have been pushed back. Just check before you start saying, oh, she's given us the wrong advice, etc., etc. I literally haven't checked every single county. There's just quite a lot, and time hasn't really allowed for that. It's just been so busy during this lockdown because a lot of parents have been getting in touch with Geek School, especially where writing's concerned. Creative writing and so on. If you don't know already, Geek School has a creative writing portfolio of courses, and of course we do one-to-one live online courses during the lockdown, which have been and always are a resounding success. There's nothing greater than seeing a child who is a reluctant writer, one who maybe has lost confidence in their ability to write, or one who thinks they hate writing, you know, really turn that around and find their creative voice, as well as a formula that helps them get the job done and get it done properly. So anyway, back to today's topic. What can you do and what should you be doing with this extra time to prepare your child for the selection tests now that they have likely been postponed in your area? Should they have a break during summer, i.e. do no work at all, and then pick things up again in September? What should you do? So if you don't know already, I have a child who's in Form 4, Year 10, and one who is in Year 6. So we've just gone through the 11 plus for grammars and independent schools not so long ago, and then did the same thing 4 years ago. Now, if I put myself in the situation of having a child who's in Year 5 now, I would say definitely do not stop the preparation. Consistency is a crucial part of 11 plus success. Without consistency, what tends to happen is that children start to forget, you know, and the scores start to dip. They can lose confidence with that. Parents can start panicking, and it can all get a little bit unnecessarily stressful when actually it doesn't need to be. So what do I suggest? I understand that it means that they're working a bit longer, especially those children who are literally just going to do selection tests where it's one exam. For the children who would be doing a 2-stage exam, they would need to continue working into October or November anyway. And for the children who would also do the independent schools, they would most likely be working all the way through to some date in January anyway. Now, if your child is one of the latter two, there's no question about taking a break. Like, why would you? Because if the exams for the grammar schools were not postponed, you wouldn't be thinking about taking any kind of break, really. For the ones who maybe are doing the Kent and the Bexley, Medway, Newstead Wood, those are the ones, you know, clearly in my area. St Olave's has stage 2, where they would normally just be doing one paper in September. Now that it's either in October or November, I still don't think they should take a break, because it can be quite detrimental. You know, if you have a child who has been working really hard for weeks, months, some of them since year 4, you know, diligently sort of plodding along with doing, you know, some extra work, some papers and so on, this is not the time to stop and take a break. What should happen is a consistent routine of work that is feasible for your child and makes them not feel overwhelmed, of course, because again, overwhelm is not something that is going to produce positive results. It will more likely produce stress. It needs to be consistent, basically. So I like the rule of 2, so 2 hours as a minimum, okay? And this means being able to do 2 hours worth of papers a day. And I like the 2 hour minimum because for most of these exams, children will be sitting at least 2 papers, and they're roughly about 2 hours, give or take. You know, usually verbal reasoning is about 50 minutes, non-verbal about 45. Some schools or counties or councils, it's the same time. So, you know, you factor in the short break that they have where the papers are collected and then the new papers are handed out and so on. You know, if you sort of tally that time, it's roughly about 2 hours. I think children should be able to maintain the stamina to sit for 2 hours and do papers. I think it's good training, you know. So in my opinion, they should get used to doing 2 hours worth of work and understanding that during those 2 hours, they really have to focus in on what they're doing and really give it their 100% attention. And then the time around that, for sure, they can have a break, you know. So as a parent, you would have to decide what the rest of that day looks like. Obviously, there are 24 hours in the day. You know, most children are asleep for about 8 hours. So there's 16 hours to play with. Some parents like the idea of doing one paper in the morning, one in the afternoon. You know, that's not a bad idea either. But I don't think it builds up the stamina. But some children don't need to have that build up, because on the day of the exam, they will literally just get on with it. But I like to get children prepared, ready, have their mindset, you know, thinking along the lines of the exam. So nothing is too sort of burdensome and stressy for them on the day. Now, it's quite interesting. This year has been, obviously, it's been quite a strange year anyway, but more and more children have been entered in for the exam later. And we've been contacted by quite a number of parents who, for some reason, have either just found out about the exams, the 11 plus exams, and were able to register their children just in time, or were thinking about it, registered their children anyway, and then suddenly have decided to get some extra prep for them. We don't often get that, to be honest. Usually, the latest prep time is in like earlier on in the year 5 calendar. Mostly we get children who start in year 4 now, which means they have a much smoother transition. You know, but if you're in that position, what should you do at this point? Well, the first thing that I would suggest is that you give your child some sort of assessment paper. Now, if you go onto the Bond online, bond11plus.com, I believe it is, or .co.uk, I'll put a link in the description. If you go onto the Bond website, they have got these baseline tests for all the 4 areas. So maths, English, verbal reasoning, non-verbal reasoning, with the mark schemes there as well. And you can get your child to do those papers using the time on the papers, mark them, and then follow the advice with the paper, which will literally say, you know, child is doing excellently, or need to review topics, or, you know, that type of thing. So as a benchmark, your child should be working no less than 85% in achievement on all the papers. If they are consistently at 85% and above, then they're in quite a safe place. At least you can expect that they would, you know, pass the baseline score and then do a bit better. So generally, it's the top 15% of children who are offered a grammar school place. And that is the thinking behind this 85%. A lot of these children get 100%. Can you imagine, on some of these papers? So if you've ever seen these papers, you'll understand that as much as the counties say everything is Key Stage 2 and so on, there are some questions in there, especially where maths is concerned. And I've had parents who commented on the difficulty of the English papers and how they've found it quite difficult to digest and understand the passage themselves. But we're expecting 10-year-olds, because, you know, most of them are still 10 when they sit the exam. I mean, there'll be a lot more of them who'll be 11 this time because of the postponement and the pushback of the exams to October or November. However, they're still so young, and Key Stage 2 goes all the way up to the end of Year 6. You know, if they're sitting the exam, even with this pushback in October or November, there's several months worth of teaching that they wouldn't have had by that time. So it's feasible that your child will not hit 85% on these papers if you're just starting preparation. I would say don't panic, but literally create a plan, a schedule, and go through all those topics that your child needs. Make sure that there's the understanding there. For maths, you can get practice worksheets, generate practice worksheets for the 11 plus topics by going on the Geek School website. Just look for shop and resources, and then you'll see the maths worksheet generator, and you can use that to create the maths worksheets. And literally make sure that your child has the full and solid understanding, especially of the core 11 plus topics. You know, the core 11 plus topics. So fractions, percentages, decimals, how to convert between all 3 areas, multiplication, long multiplication, times tables are a must. Without times tables, your child will struggle because there isn't the time to start counting on fingers and so on. They just won't finish the paper in time. And that by default will lessen their score. So times tables and units of conversion, understanding geometry, rotation, symmetry. I mean, there are so many topics, almost 50 11 plus maths topics once you break down and go very sort of detailed and granular. That shouldn't be daunting, because by Year 5 a lot of it has been covered, but it's just the level of difficulty and the obviously teaching it at an advanced level. If you feel that, you know, this is sort of going over your head and you're worried about the time, get a good tutor. Geek School Tutoring, like, we're doing things online. I don't usually push the sales side of things on the YouTube channel. And I don't, because I like to provide advice, you know, not try and rope parents into signing up for tuition. However, due to the pandemic, we are offering online tuition across all the areas: maths, English, verbal, non-verbal reasoning, and creative writing. So if you're in a position where you need help, pre-lockdown and COVID-19, all our sessions were face-to-face, but because of what's happened and the need to support our students, we will be continuing to provide online tuition. So if we would be a provider of choice, but distance has been an issue, now I can happily say it shouldn't be an issue anymore, because literally we've gone global. You know, I've got some students, wonderful students they are, absolutely love them, who are all the way in China. So if you're in the UK, if you're in England, there's no reason why. Actually, we've got students in Wales. Honestly, it's just been an amazing time, a real amazing time. So anyway, that's what I would do. So draw up an action plan, look at all the topics, go on the Geek School website and go to the shop and get yourself the 11+ dictionary for maths and the grammar dictionary, so that you really have a full overview of the topics your child needs to know, along with, you know, getting them to understand the terminology, the definitions and so on. And, you know, pick 5 or so a day, test them every day. Try not to make that too cumbersome, you know, just sort of a quick 5-minute, it doesn't even take 5 minutes, but it might if you need to explain things and go over them and so on. But something like that will go a long way. But I can't stress enough how important consistency is. If you're not consistent with the preparation, your child will have inconsistent scores, which can then become frustrating for both you and for them. And one of the worst things you can have is when a child loses confidence in their ability to work. When they lose confidence, it can be so difficult to bring it back, because it's obviously a mental thing. It's internal. A lot of children won't voice, you know, their concern in that way. And so it just reflects as really terrible scores. So you don't really want that. So it's sort of managing the process in a softly way, in a supportive way, a positive way of encouragement and things like that. That will go a long way. So, you know, if I can be of help in any way, please put something in the comments. I love the comments. I love answering the questions and helping. And if there's something that warrants another video, then I'm always happy to do a video to help and support. So I hope this has been helpful. If you haven't already, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and turn on the notifications so that you will be notified when a new video goes up on the channel. And help a friend out. Share this with your contacts, social media and so on. It's always really a bit heartbreaking when people just don't get this information. And so if you gain that access, please share it. You know, share the love, as they say. So yes, so anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this has been helpful to you. See you again on the next video.